Hey, this is William Steele with DIY Boat Life again, and we're going to continue talking about my generator. So, why is it that if I rock that switch back and forth, basically before I said I was rocking the shore power, but I was just rocking the switch or the breaker that connects the generator with the ship's power, basically, system. So I'm essentially putting a load on and off of it repeatedly, and by doing that, I'm getting the voltage to spike. And once it gets somewhere between 60 and 90 volts, that's when it'll continue to generate above 100 volts, close to above 90 anyway, and I can put a load on it and run and use the generator. And my theory is that it's a capacitor. Now, if we look at the capacitor down, I've taken my generator, the cover off of it. It's a 6.5 kilowatt Kholer, and you'll see right down here, we'll see this right here. Now, that's the capacitor. It doesn't look like it's doing very well. It looks like it's definitely seen better days. So one of the things that I'm going to do is we're gonna run this, and you would expect that if I start this right here, so let's go over here and we'll start the generator, and we're gonna just flip it on. Okay, so you're not getting any voltage here. So we're gonna do this trick again, where I rock it multiple times to get it to. So you're gonna see as I do this, I get the voltage higher and higher and higher by doing it just the right kind of, gotta do it the right frequency. It's hard to do it the right frequency, but I'll keep on trying here. All right, see, that time I didn't even succeed. It does work. It's just a little bit of kind of hard to film it and do this. So let's try this maybe one more time. I'll try and get a little more comfortable where I can try this again. As you hear that starts, the generator just going ring, because it's trying to basically ramp up the RPMs. It's the voltage regulator trying to bump it up to see if it can get some current going. So let's try this again, and we'll start it. See if we can do it this time. It might die on me before I get to do this, though. Yeah, see, it died on me before I got it to go. But anyway, is what's happening. Usually if I can rock that switch just right, I can get the voltage to spike enough, and then everything will kick in and it'll run. My guess is that the capacitor is bad. Let me hop back down here. What we're going to do is, you'll notice, if you take a capacitor and you short the terminals on that capacitor, we'll see a spark usually. So we're going to go down here, and we're just going to put this screwdriver right across these capacitor terminals, right here and here, and what you would expect to see is at least a little spark or something, but nothing, no spark. We don't get anything going there. So my guess is that this capacitor has shorted in the open setting. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a voltmeter, and we're going to see if we've got a short between there before I end up removing the capacitor. But that would be my guess. We'll actually see that capacitor shorted, and that's why what I'm doing tends to work sometimes. So let's go get that voltmeter. All right, so let's take one of these terminals off. We shouldn't need to take them both off. Just one should basically make an open circuit. Let's try to pull you off here carefully. Kind of hard to do with while holding this. Oh yeah, that's really on there pretty good. Okay, there we go. It's coming off. There we go. Okay, so we got one terminal off here, and we'll pull that off. And what that basically should do is now that rusty capacitor in there should now be an open circuit. So if I take my voltmeter or multimeter and put it across those terminals, So just hook you right onto here, onto something for now, just so I can just hold it there while I do this. Now, this is going to be the trick, trying to film this while I test that. So, right now we're testing resistance. So if I touch these together, it should show me something, right? It should show me no resistance, so I'm making 0 ohms basically. So now what I want to do is I want to put one of these on either side. I'm trying to do this while I hold this a little bit tough. Let me see if I can get my tripod to put in here. All right, now we're set up. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to measure the resistance of this capacitor, and the resistance should not be 0 for sure. So let's get these in here carefully and see if I'm getting. So, well, actually, I'm not seeing any resistance here now, which is interesting. I'm not seeing a completely open circuit. I'm touching this, which that doesn't actually help. Okay. All right, am I on both of these? I think so. It's kind of hard to see where I am here, but let's make sure I've got that there and that there. I'm seeing nothing. Seeing basically an open circuit, which I don't think is right either. But let's just go to a different capacitance setting, a different resistance setting. Still seeing nothing. Okay, yep, so that's giving me this is giving me nothing. So it's actually not, I would have expected it to be a short, but it's completely open, which is a little more odd. So the question is, will I get any, So I think usually, there should be some residual voltage in theory there, but I'm actually not seeing anything, so I'm just getting no. Basically, it's a closed circuit, and I think that also is an indicator of bad capacitor. But what I find interesting is, then should I get the same result if I run the generator and with the capacitor not in there at all? Is it wired thus that other trick will still work? That I'm not sure of. I feel like it should get nothing now, but let's make sure this is out of the way, so we don't want you to short on anything. Maybe I should put something around it. Okay. All right, let's put some tape around this guy. I mean, it's already kind of, closed off here, but let's put some tape around it for now. Just make sure that it's not gonna get short on anything. Okay, I think that should be sufficient for now. I think that'll be good. Now let's come back up here and see what happens if I run this with it disconnected. In theory, not much should happen because of, well, actually, I don't know. If I'm not 100% sure how this is going to react, but let's see what happens. I should see then. This is a little bit irritating. Under. Okay, there we go. Now let's see what happens when I start this again, and we do the same thing. Am I going to see that voltage spike at all? Oh yeah, it still does that as I do this, right? Well, so that voltage does spike. I haven't managed to get it running. Now that's my question. I bet you with the capacitor completely disconnected, I just look at the generator running, which means if that capacitor is open, then if the capacitor is an open circuit and it's not doing its job to help regulate the voltage, then for whatever reason I'm not able to get either the voltage regulator to kick in or get the excitation field to go. So my guess is it's got to be that capacitor. I still don't entirely understand why, if it's open circuit. I have to look at the circuit diagram to see exactly how that works, to see exactly how the diagram wires. I do have a copy of it, so I should be able to look up and see how that's connected. Oops. All right, now I'm having trouble with my stand here. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see if I screw that back in. No. All right, so yeah, so I'm a little bit closer to kind of having some idea of what's going on. I don't entirely understand, but it's definitely a little step closer. So I'm going to try to see if I can get the voltage to bump up when I do this. So let's just put this right here, see if I can get a good shot. I'm not sure how much you'll be able to see, but all right, I don't know why. Okay, let's hold on one second. I'll come right back. All right. Like I said, we have that capacitor disconnected right now. So the next thing we're going to try is we're going to do the same thing, and I'm going to see if I can get it going with the capacitor disconnected. I don't want to do this at a time because this probably isn't good for the coils in the generator, but I think I could get away with doing it a little bit. Let's try this again. Man, for some reason it seems a little tougher now. Before I could get it. I could get it when I got it to close to 90 volts. I could flip it on and it would stay on. So I'm obviously getting voltage coming through it, which makes me to believe that it probably is this capacitor. So I got to find out what the capacitor is. But yeah, it's I don't have enough time. Plus the engine now shuts off quicker because for whatever reason there must be some kind of timer in with the automatic voltage regulator. But this does tell me what I want to know, which is that the capacitor is basically doing nothing. I disconnect the one terminal, the capacitor is no longer effectively in the circuit, so it's got to be that capacitor. It's got to be going bad. So what we'll do is we'll just replace it, and in theory, all this stuff hopefully will start working again when we come back to the project. So this is Will Steele with DIY Boat Life, and let me know if you have any thoughts on this. I still don't, now without the capacitor there, I think I understand a little bit more that there may be in this system, maybe there's no enough residual magnetism that there would normally be in the system. Maybe it actually the circuit could rely on the capacitor itself to supply that initial currents to get the whole, to kick in the automatic voltage regulator, and could just rely on that capacitor for the residual current or voltage in there to kick the excitation field to start the power generation. That's my guess, that maybe they didn't design it with enough residual magnetism. Again, I have to kind of look at how the circuit is in this system. So yeah, this is Will Steele with DIY Boat Life. I hope you find this interesting, and I'll give you an update when we get a new capacitor. Bye.